Buenos días a todos, buenas tardes a aquellos que están en Europa. Hoy estamos comenzando nuestro live del día de hoy. Hoy vamos a tener una entrevista muy nutritiva, muy interesante, sobre todo para todos aquellos docentes que están tratando de buscar una nueva alternativa para dar clases y muchos estudiantes que también quieren un nuevo sistema para ver sus clases de inglés, no solamente de inglés, sino muchos idiomas más. Pero vamos a escuchar esto de la voz de nuestro amigo Remco Brouwer, un señor que es de Amsterdam, es el CEO de Babelonia Language Institute, allá en Amsterdam, los Países Bajos. Estamos escuchando un fondo musical de Amsterdam. Ok, vamos a empezar en un momentico con él. Queremos dar la bienvenida a todos los que se están conectando en este momento. Malena, ¿cómo estás? Bienvenida a nuestro live. Charo, bienvenida a nuestro live. Estamos dándole entrada a la mayoría de nuestros estudiantes, amigos, docentes, a este live que vamos a comenzar dentro de unos minutos, dando chance de que todos se vayan integrando. Ya tenemos el señor Remco Brouwer. Vamos a darle entrada. Vamos a darle entrada ahorita. Aquí. Permítame para darle entrada al señor Remco. Let's see. Let's see. We are trying to connect with him. Hello, good morning. Good morning for me.
Yeah.
Good afternoon for you.
There is a 5 or 6 hours difference, I guess.
Yes, of course. So it's an honor again for Amankayhowto to have you here in this live. And also for all the people that is connecting right now. So welcome to everybody to this live. It's going to be very interesting. But let's have Mr. Remco to speak about that. But first, who is Remco Brouwer? Can you talk about yourself just a little bit, please?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm 53 years of age, so there is a lot to talk about. So, what do you want to hear? Tell me.
Well, it's mostly we would like to know about who is Remco Brouwer. I know that you are the CEO of Babelonia Language Institute, and can you talk a little bit about Babelonia, just to start with the
Sure.
with the introduction?
Well, yeah, you're right. My name is Remco Brouwer. I'm living in the Netherlands. I have born in the Netherlands. I lived in the Netherlands all my life, and I am co-founder and also CEO of Babelonia.com. And Babelonia.com will be a completely new online learning platform, on which students can learn language in a different way. And that is what I'm going to explain later on. Because it's brand new, it's a different way of learning, and it's a unique way of learning.
That's great. And tell me a little bit, how many languages do you speak, Remco?
Oh dear. Well, of course, my native language is Dutch, so I can speak that pretty well. And then I intend to speak a little bit of English. I'm learning now the Spanish language because I have to, because there are quite some people in our team that are native Spanish. So, and also my wife is Spanish. So yeah, in order to speak with all the family members, I need to learn Spanish. So, yeah, at the moment I can have a little conversation in Spanish. I can understand most of it, depending on who is speaking, and also depending on the part of the day. Of course, Yeah, furthermore, let's see. Well, I can speak a little bit of German, and I can also understand most of it. And I can read a little bit of Spanish, of French, but I cannot have a conversation in French.
Can you give us a demonstration of a Spanish? What words or phrases can you speak?
Oh, well.
¿Cómo está usted, señor Renzo?
Para mí es muy difícil para cambiar las lenguajes porque en este momento estoy pensando en inglés y no en español, pero eso es.
You're surprised. You are very good, intelligent person to know a lot of language. That's very difficult when you have to switch from one to another, but it's not impossible.
It is. It is. I remember once, well, it was a while ago, I was in Austria having winter sport. Do you know what it is, winter sport? Just to go skiing on the mountain. And, well, to go up, you need to go by lifts. There are, well, I don't know how to explain in English, but it are lifts on chairs. You need to sit in chairs and then you go up, hopefully. But every time, you understand what I mean, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
But every time you're sitting next to somebody else. And you never know what language he or she speaks. So every time you try to switch languages, and sometimes that's not that easy. Well, at least not for me.
But let's try to get in contact. Can you explain about your circle method, the method that everybody's talking about, but we want to know a little bit? Can you
Sure. There is a lot to tell about it, but I try to explain as simple as possible. Well, let's give you an example, because you're also a teacher. Maybe you recognize it by yourself or with one of your students, and maybe all the viewers, maybe they recognize it as well. When you're studying another language, and well, it's taking a lot of time. It's taking a lot of effort, and maybe you're already learning for a couple of years. And then at some point you feel confident and you think, okay, well, now I'm going to have a conversation in my learning language because I'm in the country that are speaking that language, for instance. And then you start having that conversation and then nothing comes out. Maybe you recognize that because you're stuck.
Freeze out.
Sorry?
When you get, you stop and your brain don't, it's kind of thinking in nothing, just zero, then you stop. So what happened?
Well, I think a lot of language students will recognize that, and that is because, well, you have to question yourself, are you studying on the right way, in the proper way? Because, actually there are four basic elements that you need to master in order to speak another language. And, well, we all know them. First of all, you need to be able to listen. You need to listen to voices that are speaking in a strange language, and you have to try to understand the special and specific sounds of that language. Of course, you also need to read. You need to be able to read all the special signs and special words, that are not familiar to you. You need to be able to speak, of course, but also to master or at least practice the pronunciations, and that can be a bit hard. Depending on what is your native language, of course. For instance, if you're a native Spanish speaker, then it's not that hard to learn Portuguese. Because, okay, it's a different sound, but it's also a bit equal, you know. But when you're a Chinese speaker and you need to speak English, well, that's a challenge, you know.
Yes, and
So,
also the writing is
and also the
different.
writing, because it's a different writing also. And of course, you also need to be able to read, write, listen, and speak. That are the four. But look at yourself. If you're studying, what of those four are you practicing the most and the least? How do you say that? Not the opposite of too much. You know, the least. At the least, that is.
Are you practicing enough to get all this four skill into your learning process? That's what you're trying to explain.
Yeah. But what I try to say is usually the element that is the most important, that is speaking, you practice the least. You know, but which comes together, you know, because, well, first of all, you have to know a lot of vocabulary, because otherwise you cannot say anything, of course. You have to be able to name things. You need to know something about the grammar as well. How are the sentences, compiled, you know, you have to know that. Which tenses do I need to use? Because that makes a lot of difference, and I can tell you, especially in Spanish, because you have a lot of tenses, you know. But you also need to know how to pronounce the words. And last but not least, you also need to recollect that all to create the sentences in your mind, and then you have to say it. So it comes all together with speaking, and it's the most difficult part to master. That, and also that most of especially the online apps that you use in order to study a foreign language, usually they focus on the vocabulary. And that's only a small part of learning a language, you know? So,
yes, of course.
So we know, we are convinced that we could do that a little bit different and a little bit better. So,
yeah, but how is it? How is it? Because we wanted to know.
Yeah, I can understand that. Well, for instance, we are not using the 4 basic elements of a language. We're using 7. So besides reading, speaking, listening, and writing, we also teach you a lot about the grammar, because that's maybe not the most fun part, but it's necessary to know about the grammar. You also learn something about the culture, because that's a huge part of really knowing a language. You know, the culture, something about non-verbal things like gestures, how people move, you know, with their hands, how they speak with their hands. It's different, very in different in countries, but also expressions, you know, because maybe you don't realize that, but we are using a lot of specific expressions in the language. That if you would translate them literally, you don't understand anything, because you cannot translate it literally.
Translate that.
No.
Do you imagine mostly what you want to communicate with your expression, but you cannot translate that?
Exactly. So if you don't know that, if you're not seen that before, well, you're losing the touch, you're losing the feeling of that conversation, and that makes sense, but it's not nice, of course. So we are combining all those elements. There are a lot more, but all those elements into a course. And that means that if you're learning with Babelonia on our platform, which will be available soon, by the way, then
yes.
so you are able to learn more effectively, and that is
So
nice.
tell me now that you are talking about your platform, tell us about the platform. How can we know a little bit about that, and when is your platform going to be ready?
Well, we started to develop the platform almost 3 years ago. Well, I keep losing track of time, but I think it's about 3 years ago, with an idea. It was just an idea. And now we are developing already for 3 years, and the project is bigger and bigger and bigger and became bigger and bigger and bigger, but also more interesting for future language studiers. And so we think that we will introduce the first part of our platform at the end of this year. So that's already in a few months, it's nothing.
Yes, of course. And how a student, for example, a student from Amankayhowto, they finish their course and they want to continue interacting but with Babylon. So how can they register in Babylon, and how can they get access to the platform to continue studying?
Well, at the moment, we are still in development, so that means that the platform is not available. You cannot log in. But when it's available, then it could be a really smart thing to continue studying with our platform, because we cover all the levels. So when you know the basics, then you could study further also on the platform. And if you want to keep informed about the platform, and of course also when it's available to you, then there is a link that is on our Instagram account, and if you press on it, then, and we can also write it here later on, then you could subscribe to our newsletter, and when you do, well, you are sure that you are informed, of course, and keep informed, but also that when the platform is available, then you are the first that we are inviting to, to log in the platform. And we will have several very special opening offers.
Oh, really?
So,
how is
it? Yeah.
So you're going to announce that at the moment, when the time comes.
Yes. And it's also important to mention that we will open our platform for language studies for free as well. So there will also be always a free option to study.
A free option, that's excellent. That's an excellent information for all the students. That would be for all the students that wanted to try that platform and wanted to learn. And also, if they get used to that, maybe you have a higher course. I don't know how it functions. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. As you probably know, there are several, let's say, systems available. Here in Europe, we're working a lot with the CEFR levels that are official levels for learning a language, and starts with A1 and it ends at C2. That means that when you are really a starter, you're actually starting on A0. And then you can keep on studying till, let's say C1, because C2 means that you're a native speaker, and I don't think that there are a lot of people that could reach that by studying a language, especially when you're not living in that country. But there are also some other equivalents, like DELE is an equivalent. Maybe you're familiar with that. Ciele or Ciele. MCER is another one. But they are all quite similar. And,
so you mean that
the
courses, you can give...
Yeah, So
Sorry.
all the courses that we are offering will be according to that norm. And so that means that if you studied for 3 years English already, you are now in intermediate studier, you can still practice with us and try to improve yourself.
That's great. And you give an international certification, of course.
Yes, because all our studies, all our courses, I have to say, are according to the official levels. We also can supply an official certificate. Yeah.
So that's great. That's a great opportunity for students. Mostly when they are studying at the university, they always ask for international certification. So maybe teachers that they wanted to teach as an international company or school, they can get the certification also. That would be excellent. And one question.
Sure.
Yes. No, you want to clarify something. Okay, one question that mostly people make during the week that we try to launch this live, and it was about the opportunity that you can offer to the people of different countries to maybe apply for a job as a teacher. And are you accepting Spanish teachers or other language teachers? I don't know.
Well, let me tell you this, because we just talked about that speaking, so having a conversation, is one of the most important, but also one of the most difficult things to master. And as you could understand, that we are an online teaching platform that, well, although we include models which you can master or practice your language skills, your conversational skills with, having a conversation with a computer, that, well, it's still not that great to do, you know? So therefore, we also need live teachers, experienced teachers, so that our students can also ask their services to help practicing their conversational skills. At the moment, we are not hiring, but we will be soon. So So when people want to apply, well, they can do that. Just send an email to info@babelonia.com, or click on the link that is provided on our internet page, because then our email will also be shown there. And give us an email.
Class.
Yeah, sure, and then we will respond.
That's interesting. One other thing before we go to the question from our audience, and it's about Babbelonia Supports. I understand that you have a foundation that is called Parolu, correct? Parolu. If I misunderstood.
Yes.
Parolu. So, can you explain a little bit about Parolu Fundation?
Yeah, sure. The Parolu Fundation. Okay, again, the Parolu Foundation, well, is a foundation that helps people without a job or without the possibility to maintain themselves because they have a low salary pay, for instance, to jobs outside the country. So to give you an example, as most people will know that in Venezuela, for instance, well, there is a dynamic situation going on there. And a lot of people having difficulties with maintaining, supporting themselves. But they sometimes, in most cases actually, they are highly qualified. They have a lot of knowledge. They have a lot of experience, you know, and companies all over the world are demanding that. They are requesting that. So what we try to do is to help people, for instance, in Venezuela, but also in other countries, to get in touch with employers wherever in the world. And we would like to offer them work from their own house. So it's a home-based job, it's a remote job, and that is pretty easy with all the tools that we have right now. So they could earn some decent money. The only problem is that a lot of people need to practice their English a little bit more, because that usually is the language to use when you have a job, a remote job. So therefore we also providing them a free education of English. And that's what we do, because it's important that everybody can have a decent pay.
This is a great opportunity, mostly for the people from Venezuela. I'm Venezuelan, and I feel what I feel. Even though we can have 2 or 3 careers, or specialties, and we have made so many courses and stuff, and we are, most of us are well prepared, the teachers. So it's a great opportunity for Venezuelan people to try to find a job. And how, the way that they can find a job is just go to your website and apply for that, and you make like a kind of a study, economical study, to see if the Parolu Fundation can support them. How is it?
Well, actually, the Parolu Fundation is it's related with Babelonia because we are supporting the Parolu Fundation, but it's not ours, So they have their own platform, they have their own website. So feel free to visit parolu.org, and maybe Maria can also type that. Maria is one of our team members, so that they can also go to that website. Yeah.
That would be interesting. That you please give us here in this chat, let us your website, also Parolu website, and all the information that they can just access with one click. So now let's try to go to the audience. Let's try to see what are their questions, and if you would like to answer their question, let's see. So let's interact with them. Let's see how many questions you have. You have this opportunity to ask Mr. Remco Brouwer about anything you want. And also, Mr. Remco, you can go through the questions and try to answer them, okay?
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see what we have here. We have how much is the salary? Well, we don't know. You have to make the study, I think, okay? How much is the salary of a teacher in Amsterdam?
Well, that varies. Life in Europe is so much more expensive than it is in Latin America. And, for instance, to give you an example, I have a good friend who is living in Germany, and he is making a lot of money, much more than I do, I can assure you. But, his monthly costs are that high because living in Germany is much more expensive than it is in the Netherlands, that if you look at his net salary, so what he really could save, it's less than what I can do. So it's not only what you can make, but it's more what you can save. So at the end. And I don't know, a lot of teachers in the Netherlands, I guess they are freelancer. So they having their own company. You have to ask them. I have no idea what they are making in Amsterdam,
A teacher work in a day. I guess it can be in Amsterdam, I think. They say, how many does a teacher work a day?
But are you talking now working with Babelonia or just in general?
I don't know. Maybe general, they can explain a little bit about that, but you can explain in general working with Babylon.
Sure, I know. Now, well, in general, every teacher is free to work as many hours as he or she wants, of course. But with Babelonia, we also like to work with experienced freelance teachers. They can uh, tell how many hours they want to work per week, let's say, and on what hours. So what is the time frame? And we have an online agenda system, and they can block their own available hours. And that means that when we have a student who wants to be connected with that specific teacher, he can just make a reservation himself.
Mm-hmm. Now, another question is, what was the most difficult word that you have learned?
Oh, wow. Well, you know, here in the Netherlands, we are only a small country. So if we want to really do business, then we need to speak English. That also means that English starts at your primary school. So it's a lot of years ago that I cannot remember. But in general, I can tell you that every language has its own pronunciations, its specific combinations of letters and sounds. And when it's different from my own native language, then it could be a challenge.
Yeah, but for example, in Spanish, what was the most difficult word or expression that you have learned from Spanish? I mean, maybe the R pronunciation, I don't know.
Yeah.
Can you explain
Well,
it to us?
I can tell you there are a lot of words that I have difficulty with to pronunciate. Well, to give you an example, you have a tense in the Spanish language, and I forgot the tense, but it's a past tense. And when you have a verb that ends up AR, for instance, hablar, then in the past tense it's hablaba. And all the blah 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 blah. That for me that is really difficult to pronounce. Yeah.
That was funny. Yeah, that's true. Okay, we have another question here. What opportunity have a teacher to work in Babelonia?
Well, as I just said, we are not hiring right now, but we will be in the near future. We are a language platform, so that means that we constantly need people that are, well, really a specialist of a certain language in order to help us to improve courses or to help us with providing online classes. So that is basically the main job then.
Mm-hmm. There's another question, is at the Arandelin 42. Can I learn English at Babelonia from beginner to advanced English?
At the end, yes. We will provide courses on all levels. And besides that, we will also providing special mini courses. For instance, you have the Spanish, but as you know, Spanish is not the same in each country. So, for instance, if you want to go to, let's say, Argentina, then, well, they have special and specific words. They have a special sound. They have, you know, it's not all the same. So we have also mini courses to master that. If you're having a business, for instance, then, well, having a business conversation, it's not talking about the food and the weather, you know. It's very specific. Also depends on what profession you have. So we also are providing in the future those kind of specific mini courses. But when the platform is launched, then we will start with A1, A2, and maybe B1. So the first 3 levels, and we will continuing adding courses all over the time. You know, yeah.
Yeah, because that was one of the questions that we had. Many people were asking about Korean language. So we have to wait until you launch the platform to see what other language are you trying to offer, because the people were asking, can I study Korean language with Babylon?
Well, you could in the near future. You know, to be honest, we have to look at the demand. If there is a lot of demand of learning Korean, then we will certainly develop that. But it will not be in the first, let's say year.
Another question is that was in the week is, which countries have you visited and which one do you like the most?
Oh, wow. Well, as said, the Netherlands is only a small country. So if you sit in your car and you drive, then all of a sudden you are in a different country. So it's easy to go to a different country here. And well, I think I visit most countries in Europe. Yeah, almost all, maybe all. I visit the United States once. I visit Malta. Is that part of European? I don't know. Malta, Greece, Turkey, well, France, Germany, Luxembourg, Portugal, Italy. You know, yeah. Well, I've seen quite a bit.
That's great. Okay, you guys, it's time to give a lot of heart to Mr. Remco. So please click on the heart so we can get to many audience as we can. And this interview is very important for all of us and all the people that would like to learn another language. Mostly, you know, we are focusing right now in learning English. So I have another question. It says, Juan59 says, Mr. Remco, would you like to visit Venezuela in the near future, I think?
No, I would not like to visit Venezuela. I would love to visit Venezuela because it's an amazing country. I've seen a lot of it on telly, and well, there's a lot of nature, amazing surroundings. Of course, the language I do like, and most of our team members are living there, so I would love to visit Venezuela.
That's great. That's great. Well, at the moment, it's a little bit difficult. Julima Luz says you are invited to come to Venezuela. Thank you.
Well, now for you. I simply have to, right?
Yes. Okay, you guys. So try to make your questions so he can answer real quick. So give us some recommendations of how can we improve our language skills.
In general, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
maybe some recommendations how they can speak English, you know, and improve their language skills.
Okay, what I can tell you is we believe, and I believe, that everybody is learning another language on its own way, you know? So find a way that works for you. One thing is really important, speak. Have as many conversations as you can have. And there are a lot of apps, and they mostly are free also, that you can just look at people who wants to study your language, and you can connect with them, and then you can teach them your language, and they can teach the language you want to speak, for instance, English. Have as many conversations if you can, because that is the most effective way to learn another language, I think, and find your own way. Because that's also important.
Mr. Remco, we have known a lot about you, but tell me, can you sing?
What can I see?
Can you sing? Can you sing?
Oh, yeah, well, depends on what you mean by singing? I don't recommend it.
Oh my God. Okay, tell me about what's your favorite food? What's your favorite food or drink?
Oh well, it's more easy to tell what I don't like because I like almost everything and I love to try new kind of dishes. So that I do love to experience some new taste and some new combinations of taste. But I cannot stand fish.
Oh, really?
No, only the smell. It's no, to me it's not that appealing. No.
Oh, really? So you mostly like chicken and meat and salad. Are you vegetarian?
No, but I also love to eat vegetarian food. It's no problem. But yeah, I love meat as well.
That's good. Okay, you guys, if you don't have any other questions, please, we are going to close our live just in a moment. So we're going to give you 5 minutes to Mr. Remco Brouwer to say goodbye and to give the last recommendations about Babylon. And for Amankayhowto is I say it again, it's a great opportunity. It's an honor to know you, to have you here in this program. It has been really very important, all the information that you have shared with us. And now is your opportunity to say goodbye to all the audience and also to tell us the information that is very important about Babylon.
All right. You asking me what is important about Babylon?
Okay, it's the opportunity to say goodbye to the audience, but it's important that you make a little resume about what is important about Babylon and how can they reach Babylon and everything. So, it's your
right.
time.
Okay.
It's a time for you to close this program.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's closing time already. Oh, time is flying when you're having fun,
Yes,
okay.
I
Well,
know.
anyway, I think you all have to go to our Instagram and just click on the link that it's there. Go to a website and you see all the information you need. For instance, you can subscribe on our newsletter so that you will be sure that you are first when the platform opens. We also have a teacher community. We did not talk about that, but we are uniting all the language teachers in the world to share knowledge and to speak about techniques and tools how to teach online. So please go there. You find our email address. So if you want to apply for a job, you can also do that. It's just one link. You will have it in Spanish, English, and in Dutch. So do that, and you will find all the information you need.
What for the last thing? So what is the community? What does the community platform for teachers do? I mean, they get in contact, they share books and they share information. What do they do?
It's a community that we started a couple of weeks ago, and we also have a lot of subscribers already, because for teachers it's important that they can share their knowledge and talking about issues that they experienced. For instance, I have this issue. How would you solve that, or how would you deal with that? So that is important. And another thing is also because of the corona thing, teaching can only be done online and will be done online more and more and more. Also, how do I use the proper techniques to have an online class? Which tools are available? All that kind of things they can share in our community. So yeah, just if you are a language teacher, subscribe. It's completely free, and see what it does for you.
That's excellent. Thank you, Mr. Remco, again for being here with us, for sharing all those important information, and for talking about Babelonia, and the important things of starting as a circle method. And all the information that you have given to us, it will be in our Instagram, and also I will share you this video so you can also project it on your website and your social media. So thanks again. Thanks for your time, and thanks to the audience for being with us and interact with us. That is very important.
I love that. And when you have the chance, come all to Amsterdam and see for yourself how beautiful the Netherlands also can be. All right. Well,
thank you. And, I imagine. Thank you, Mr. Remco. Thank you for your time.
Bye-bye.